Hello, I'm Brad Gyori, one of the instructors here at Tribeca Flashpoint Media Arts Academy. I'm joined by Leith Sharp, the Director of Executive Education for Sustainability Leadership at Harvard. She's an expert at getting corporations and college campuses to go green. Leith, at Harvard, you've actually created a program that's saving them $6 million per year, which is a remarkable accomplishment. And it seems to me that different types of campuses may require different types of changes to become more sustainable. Before I worked here, I worked at Arizona State University, which was a big desert community. Yeah. Here at Tribeca, we're a small college in a very urban center. So is there a one-size-fits-all approach?
In one sense, there definitely is not a one-size-fits-all approach. When it comes down to really analyzing what your environmental impact is, it very much depends upon the nature of your organization. Where it starts to be the level at which there's a higher degree of uniformity is, okay, so how do you do it? Like, how do you get your organization to undertake that amount of change? And that comes down to the capacity of senior leaders and the community at large to get engaged in this shared purpose and to have be empowered with meaningful pathways for coming on board and enacting change in all the small and large arenas of their organization. If you are a student or an employee of a university or college and you have a good idea of something that would reduce the environmental impact of that college, just say you walk into a bathroom and there's a tap running full tilt and you know this is wrong, right? The question is, how easy has that organization made it for you to be a catalyst for that to be dealt with? Now, for the most part, most of us walking into a bathroom and seeing that feel terrible, but we have no idea what to do. Each individual in the college almost is like this sensor. We're out there, we can perceive these opportunities, but we don't know where to go with them. So the job for the university or the college as an institution is to really actively open up these pathways so that good ideas can find traction with much greater ease. I mean, one of the reasons why we've seen such an advancement technologically in almost every field through the 20th century is that management-driven hierarchy has allowed us to organize and specialize and scale out, become very efficient and effective at delivering on certain organizational goals. But in the course of events, we've created these silos and these divisions that now we're having to come up with some way of reweaving ourselves back together to address problems that cross these boundaries. And it comes out very clearly with sustainability because very often the decision that you need to have made and perhaps the budget that you need to have sourced to fund it and where the savings are going to all turn up in different places in the organization. And so very often that initial reaction of, well, you've got to make the financial case is then squashed by the fact that you can't make the accounting case, because you can make the business case that as a net sum game, this decision will save the organization money, but unfortunately it's this group that will have to pay for it and it's these groups that are going to see the savings. They report to different people. So where's the incentive? So this is what we transcended at Harvard with creating a revolving loan fund. That $6 million that you referenced, we were able to generate that within a few years of running this revolving loan fund, which meant anyone with a good idea could come to us, we'd lend them money, they'd pay it back with their savings. And from then on, once that loan was paid back, they were net savings to our institution. It allowed us to get capital to anyone in any department, so they didn't have to go up their own chain of command and battle through that accounting minefield.
And then you took things even farther with the life cycling idea, right? Because the sense was that's eventually sort of a finite resource, but what if the savings that we're making can be cycled back in? Could you speak about that a little bit?
It's one of the saddest sort of accounting acts of cruelty, really, where you see this a lot in complex organizations where somebody just really busts themselves to create some great ideas, they deliver on it, and there's some meaningful savings generated. And somewhere up the chain of command, there's duly noted that this money is now saved, that we don't have to spend that much next year. And instead of them now having access to those savings, the finance folks will say, great, we'll give you less money next year. And it sends this terrible signal back down to those people that have gone above and beyond, you know, why bother?
Well, I have one last question, and
Yeah.
it has to do with the story of the napkin and Al Gore. If you
Right.
wouldn't mind sharing with that, I just thought that was a very interesting idea, and it has to do with being a catalyst. You mentioned earlier
Yeah.
this idea of just sometimes you need to take that initiative and just dive in and see what happens.
Yeah. So the loan fund at Harvard that I talked about, we originally had $3 million, and very quickly this was all lent out because people really valued having access to money for good ideas. And my concern was, well, we're going to lose energy, we're going to lose motivation. So I immediately asked my direct bosses, I had 2 reports, and I asked them, look, can we get this increased? It has a terrific financial payback of around 30%. It's outperforming Harvard's endowment. Surely we can get this decision made. It's a no-brainer. They scratched their heads and said, well, we agree it's a great decision, but we have no idea who makes that decision. It's a new kind of decision. No one's made that before. So they suggested that I meet with a couple of different vice presidents, and sure enough, the same thing. Great idea. I don't make that decision. So I'd had a little run of this, and oddly enough, I was having breakfast in a local cafe one morning, and in walks President Summers, sits down in a booth not too far away, and wrote down my little business case on this napkin, handed it to him, and very tentatively said, well, if you like this idea, it would be wonderful if you could double the loan fund. The performance outstrips the endowment, et cetera, et cetera. And he looked at me he's got the most amazing poker face. I got no clues from him as to how that napkin was being received. I walked out, it was a Saturday morning, and then suddenly it all came back to me that, wow, Harvard is this incredibly enormous hierarchy. I've just jumped about 8 rungs of the ladder. I don't have a green card. If I get fired for this, I have to pack up and leave within 90 days. and I panicked. So then I called my co-chairs and I confessed. I gave President Summers a napkin, and I asked him for $3 million on a napkin. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. It's just desperation. I didn't know what else to do. And so they quickly suggested, well, write a memo and start working harder to get support for this idea and get some official efforts underway. So I did all of this, and not a whole lot came of it until we had created an event for President Summers and Mayor Menino to give a joint address on sustainability. And I wrote in the memo specifically that it would be a terrific thing for him to announce this doubling of the loan fund. Now this goes back to an experience earlier with Al Gore, where previously we'd needed a small increase in the loan fund, and I had no idea how to do it. All of a sudden I get a phone call from one of the vice presidents. President Summers has to speak on stage with Al Gore. He wants to say something excellent about sustainability, and I suggested immediately, well, he could double our loan fund.
Were you being facetious or being...
No, I was very naively sort of hopeful.
Okay.
And that was the end of that phone call. Well, we all went to this event, and sure enough, he gets up on stage and doubles the loan fund. So we needed this doubling to happen a second time.
Right.
So that had stuck in my mind that, well, if you get him up on stage with someone really important, and you know, it could happen. So I'd written in my memo that you're going to be on stage soon with Mayor Menino, and it would be wonderful if you would double it again. So we go to pick him up in his car to take him to this event with Mayor Menino, and he gets in the car and he is, you know, on the phone, and on the way up to the stage, he looks at me, he's like, who has given you permission to double the loan fund? And this is the irony, right? Like, I have asked everybody to give me permission. Everyone thinks it's a good idea, but no one knows who should be the final decision maker.
Right.
So I just said immediately, well, hopefully you will. And that's all I had time for as he walked up on stage. Mayor Menino then gave this blistering presentation on sustainability. It was extraordinary quality of oratory excellence from him. And I think it really lifted the game here. And so then when President Summers got up, he immediately doubled the loan fund.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like a story with a happy ending.
Yeah. Me too.
Especially when there's that sort of white knuckle moment where, did I step in, did I go take the wrong choice here? But
Yeah.
it seems like, sometimes taking that bold risk is how you become a catalyst and how you bring about change.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, we need more senior leadership sponsorship so that decision making gets easier than that, because it's a lot to carry that kind of risk. But yes, until that happens, all power to the change agent, I say.
Hear, hear. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is Brad Gyori with Tribeca Flashpoint, and thanks again, Leith Sharp.
Thanks, Brad.